hurricane, a tidal wave. Essence perfect, life looks brilliant. Give me more of this. I'm out of control, about to blow, and I've been caught in the undertow. So toxic, but I can't get enough. You bury me, bury me. Yeah, you bury me, bury me. You've got me hypnotized, push me out of myself. You've got me hypnotized. I can see, I can hear, going crazy, but the light has got me hypnotized. You've got me hypnotized. Get you out of my hand again. Is it wrong? Is it right? It's like I've won my final war without a fight. I'm out of control, about to blow. I've been caught in the undertow. So toxic, but I can't get enough. You bury me, bury me. I know you bury me, bury me. You've got me hypnotized, push me out of myself. You've got me hypnotized. I can see, I can hear, going crazy, but the light has got me hypnotized. You've got me hypnotized. Get you out of my head, get you out of my head again.
Please note.
Never gonna stop, never gonna change, never gonna do the things you say. I run my own way to get there. Toss a coin and the odds seem to care. In the air, no more crowd, just the opposite kind of few clouds. So tell me the storm is coming, for the sake of all your lies. Why don't you try to be wise? Know that I need you, why? Just to feel like I'm fading. And though my heart breaks a beat down, I've got the legs just to take you. Don't lead the way, don't even say that I drown with a child's play in the rain. I feel like I'm fading.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to OLE Podcast, where our followers are authentic and we don't charge you for additional content. You have come to your favorite Sunday Sports stream. It is Point of View. I am Bobby Munson, and I've got my panel of friends here with me, starting with the man to the right. He's always 1 point short of a win in overtime when it comes to hockey.
Oh, hi, Mark. Oh, hi, Mark.
It's Mark. How you doing, Mark?
I'm still. Andre sent me a post, sent me a screenshot last week after the show, and I read it, and I still think it's the dumbest rule I've ever seen in NHL. But away from that, we've got a lot to discuss. We've got WrestleMania 41 week coming up. We're going to go through the matches that are happening on each day. We're not going to give our predictions now because next week Bobby will inform you exactly what will be going on from there. We've got NBA chat. We're going to the playoffs in the NBA very soon. We're going to be talking more about the NHL. We're going to be talking about the Europa League because Bobby needs to get things off his chest. We're going to discuss Reading Football Club because there might be a light at the end of the tunnel. I'm going to do a quick, I know some of you may not like it, but I'm going to do it, a quick golf chat. It's the final day of the Masters. and I want to be discussing the final day of the Masters, and then and as you can see by the title as well, UFC chat as well. So, and also, if you see me, and I'm going to do a quick disclaimer here, if you see me and Andre react to anything, it's because we are backstage watching the F1, okay, fully, and they've just gone. So, yeah.
Norris up to third, baby.
In 25 minutes, we might have me reacting to stuff as well, too. A lot to pack into this episode of Point of View, and we got to say hello to the man right below me. He calls himself 2/3, but he's all man. He is Andre C. How are you doing, brother?
I'm doing well, sir. Yeah, like I said, we're watching some F1 in the background. Bobby's going to be watching something in the background, probably the footy, I'm guessing. Probably going to be the footy.
Good. That would be a great guess.
This show might be over in 25 minutes because Bobby might want to get out here just so he can watch the footy on his own. You never know. But yeah, I'm doing good.
I'll be watching and crying at the same time. So
yeah. Good week. I've only seen one thing come out of UFC from last night, and that was the Volkanovski finish to the fight of them just swinging and banging at each other to end that fight. But yeah, I'm doing good, man. Been a good week. I loved Mark's. I've been thinking about what questions Mark could ask me about hockey this week.
I have no questions. I'm literally going to freeball. I haven't written anything down because I've looked at the conferences and it still makes no sense. So it's very much you're going to have to explain, like, because we're going to get to the playoff. I think it's very much, and I know the NBA are getting in their playoffs as well. So it's coming playoff season here for sport. So it's very much of we're going to dumb down. I think the best way to do this is to dumb down the NHL playoffs, right? Dumb it, because you said it last time and you can still confuse the shit out of it. So it's very much, we will do that. We will dumb this thing down so regular people can understand it.
Fantastic.
Well, the regular people do understand it. It's the British that don't.
No, just normal people. Literally normal people do not understand it.
Yeah. We got Bobby Stats in the house saying Michael Allen, Richard Clark doing another appearance with Maple Leaf Pro Wrestling on their May 10th show. That is fantastic news for the PPW champion, really making his rounds. I the only thing I keep fearing is how long we can continue to hold on to him as one of our own at Prairie Pro Wrestling with the way that man's career is starting to skyrocket.
Tell him to wear that PPW championship on the Maple Leaf Pro show, man. Jeez.
I don't know what the rulings are there. I don't make those decisions. That ain't my part of it.
That's just Scott D'Amore and be like, dude, can he wear his title?
Yeah, I'll call up my close personal friend Scott D'Amore. Like,
we
hey,
all
buddy.
have Twitter. We all have Twitter. We all have Twitter. We can all message somebody on Twitter. Come on.
Yeah. No, I mean, it would be lovely to have that thing displayed on their show and stuff like that, but I don't foresee that happening anytime too soon. But either way, I want to not only thank Bobby for being here, but thank Bobby for being one of the many wonderful people who have already done this and subscribe to OLE Podcast on YouTube. We are over the 700 mark now and growing. Keep those subs coming in. We really appreciate every single one of you for tuning into the content that we provide and also being part of that by subbing and knowing when we got new content coming out and lots coming up this week. But gentlemen, let's get to it. Point of view. Let's talk sports.
Let me just interrupt. I have just clocked Andre's name, and I haven't clocked it during the whole time I spoke to him until now. And I've clocked it, and it's sent me. I don't know if I can distract the name tag that he's got on him. Has anyone noticed the name tag he has on the show?
Nope.
It's the 2/3. It's the 2/3, people.
What about
this joke is going so long, but it's still so fucking funny. Why is this still? Anyway, carry on. Sorry, Bobby.
It's only been something since last October. It's only came in in October.
Yeah, 6 months. This joke's been going, and it's been hilarious for 6 months.
Yeah, we don't let things slide. When you got something good, you keep it rolling.
Exactly.
The Ogre Lord has been existing for a long time, hasn't it?
It's had some redos and some reboots and stuff, but it's around. Michael Allen, Richard Clark will be in their 20-man gauntlet match on May the 10th. I mean, may he do well for himself and potentially come back with some more gold. I mean, wouldn't it be something if he was wear an MLP gold to a Prairie Pro Wrestling show. Maybe we'll flip it around on you right there.
I'm going to ask a very dumb
Yeah,
question.
he's in the 20-man gauntlet, isn't he? Yeah, so
Yeah.
we'll see. He could be rolling into a PPW show with some MLP championships
could.
on.
I'd be okay with it.
Can I ask
Oh
a dumb
no!
question?
Go for
Oh
it.
no! Look who showed
Michael
up.
Allen, Richard Clark. Is that one person or is that two?
Yeah, yes, one man, and he calls himself the man with the longest name in professional wrestling, or the man with the man with 4 first names.
By the way, I understand how now you have said it, but secondly, I was like, that is the weirdest but most brilliant name I've ever heard in a professional wrestler before.
And his name is so damn long that Maple Leaf Pro just shortens it to Michael A.R. Clark because it's too much to print on their screen.
That's brilliant.
Although when he was introed, Jade Chung did go Michael Allen, Richard Clark. He got all those poses in, so that's okay.
Yeah, he got the different maneuvers there, the different flex appeals in that he needed to get in. So, yes, SDG is in the house. By God, the dynamic trio is back. And thank you for the semi-warm welcome, Andre, says STG. But
you're welcome.
I missed STG last week.
All right, Mark, where are we going first with this
Should
day?
we do WrestleMania first? Because as we're talking wrestling, should we keep the wrestling theme going and do WrestleMania? So
full previews right now. Let's go. No, I'm kidding.
So we're not going to do we're not going to do much predictions. We're just going to give our thoughts on some of the things. We're not going to give predictions because we've got predictions coming out. Bobby will explain that in a minute when we get to that. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to do night one. And what I want to get is your reactions to the night one card, your thoughts on some of the matches. And then we'll do night two, and then we'll get into the other. And then at the end of the night one, night two prediction, I'm going to give a prediction, not night one, and I'm going to give a prediction now that is well in advance that I think is going to happen, and I will say the same thing on the prediction show. So I'm going to say this now. I'm coming out with the most ridiculous.
Oh, Mark's coming out. Oh, I'm so happy for you, bud.
Oh, I'm only coming out for you, Andre. Literally the only man I would. Come in. Anyway, this topic is going to go wrong. So the night one cards is this. We've got Tiffany Stratton versus Charlotte Flair. We've got Gunther versus Jey Uso. We've got Jade Cargill versus Naomi. We've got the War Raiders versus the New Day. We've got LA Knight versus Jacob Fatu. We've got Rey Mysterio versus El Grande Americano, greatest professional wrestler of all time. And we've got the main event, which will be Roman Reigns versus CM Punk with Paul Heyman versus Seth friggin' Rollins. Reactions first for the night one card. Your thoughts on that? Any? I know Bobby's looking very excited for one match, but overall reactions to it all.
I'm a lot more happy that there isn't an abundance of multi-person matchups on this thing, because there was a lot of conversation about multiple people in the U.S. title matchup and multiple people. It started to become a lot of talk of fatal four-ways and triple threats being a theme around this WrestleMania, and I really can't stand having an overabundance of them. It's just not my thing. I think it's a cop-out a lot of the time. Personally, I don't enjoy it being done that way, but when I saw what was actually the matchups and what they're planning, like, this feels right. This feels good. I'm down with what's going on here. Before we do that, hello to Maggie Sajak returning back into the chat here. Good morning, everyone. Just having a hot coffee with my family. Hello to you and your family, and happy Sunday to all of you. Bobby saying happy that Jacob Fatu is getting a singles match. I am too, 100%. Yeah, I like the way this card is set up right now. I think this will be a strong opening night for WrestleMania.
Andre.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to night one. I think I'm looking forward to night two a little more, because there's a couple more matches on night four with the potential of another match, probably the Randy Orton match being added to that. I'm more excited for it. But I think the honest to God show stealer for both nights is on this, and it's Rey Mysterio versus El Grande Americano.
I think it could be.
Sounds crazy, but Rey shows up for WrestleMania. He does his best shit. And Chad Gable finally.
It's not Chad Gable. It's El Grande Americano. Thank you. It's not Chad Gable.
Okay, Chad Gable.
It's not Chad Gable. It's El Grande Americano. He's from the Gulf of America.
Chad Gable's Gulf of America cousin, El Grande Americano, is going to show up and finally get this like really top-notch WrestleMania match, and it's going to be amazing. I can't wait. I think that those two are low-key the match of this whole pay-per-view and what they can
I've
do.
just seen the comment. So I'm going to give a quick overthought. I think Tiffany Stratton versus Charlotte Flair could either be the biggest train wreck in WrestleMania match history or be one of the best matches in WrestleMania history after the way that those two have taken. Yeah, let's go with that. Gunther versus Jey Uso, I think, could be a match, and I think it could be very interesting. There's a lot of. Yeah, I think it will as well. And I think Jey Uso needs to bring his best work. You've got Gunther. Do you know what? For the first time, I would be happy if Gunther loses because I think the way Jey Uso's year has been phenomenal. Jade Cargill versus Naomi could be friggin' spectacular. I'm really looking forward to that. I think Naomi getting a match on that is going to be amazing. The War Raiders New Day, couldn't care about it. LA Knight versus Jacob Fatu. I have a prediction for that, and I don't think Bobby's going to be happy with my prediction on that. But that's a match that's happening. I think the greatest professional wrestler of all time, no, not Dominic Mysterio, El Grande Americano, is going to be amazing. And the main event, the story going into this, and I will go back to the triple threat main event a little bit later because my whole prediction for the whole of WrestleMania. I'm fine with whoever wins this match. I am literally fine with whoever wins that match. I will be okay. I'm telling myself all week. But with the Roman Reigns, CM Punk, Seth Rollins, I will come back to that later because the whole of WrestleMania comes down to that match. Anyway, we're going to go with night 2, which will be
Mark,
the triple.
before you continue on,
Yeah, go.
Norris with a 5-second penalty for false start.
And just want to say,
Brian, fucking idiot.
Just want to say also Brian Carter now joining us in the chat. A little Brian saying it. Did MLW steal WrestleMania's thunder with the return of Hammerstone at the Battle Riot 7? That was a great card. And it was a nice return. There's a lot of great things. Again, if you want,
I don't have a card.
More on the MLW stuff, Brian. If you want more on the MLW stuff, not sure if you checked it out, but Papa Smokes and I dropped a special edition of Ring Respect Radio on Friday evening where we did the review of the Battle Riot 7. So
I wish I would have known you guys were doing this because at least I watched the full Battle Riot. I would have come on and talked about it with you.
Yeah, we didn't really know until last minute, and we did it right before we went live with the other Ring Respect on Thursday. We pre-recorded that day, and it was it was a panicky Thursday evening. Yeah,
I couldn't have done it then.
I think that 5
I thought you were live last night.
No.
If I can get it right, that 5 second either will go on at the end, or there will be a 5 second stop and go penalty, which means the car cannot be touched for 5 seconds when it's in the pit stop until they can change the tires.
I'm hoping the 5 second.
It needs to be that because he needs to build because at this precise moment he's going to go all the way down. What, 7th, 8th, 7th? I think we go 7th. I think. But anyway, night 2 of WrestleMania is we've got the triple threat women's world championship match. Oh yes, America, Europe isn't racist. Bianca gets booed everywhere else. Io Sky versus Bianca. Sorry, I needed to get that off my chest. Versus Rhea Ripley. We've got AJ Styles versus Logan Paul. We've got Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez going up against Bayley and Lyra Valkyria. You've got Bron Breakker versus Penta versus Finn Balor versus the greatest professional wrestler that has ever existed in professional wrestling, Dominic Mysterio. We've got a Sin City street fight versus Damian Priest and Drew McIntyre. And to finish it off, we've got Cody Rhodes versus John Cena.
Just remember, it's Pirate Drew McIntyre now. Because
no, he ripped it off last night.
Oh, did he take it off?
Now. Yeah, he's fully healed now.
Okay, because the last I saw, because I didn't watch SmackDown. Yeah. Last I saw him, he was Pirate Drew McIntyre. So, yes. Honestly, for overall, night 2 to me looks the more excited about it because from top to bottom, there's nothing on. There's not a single match on here that I'm disappointed. Like I'm not that it does not have anything. Like I could give shit about Jade versus Naomi, the tag team titles, and LA Knight versus Fatu. I don't care about any of those three matches. But every match on the show I care about, even the women's tag title, because I like. I'm a big Bayley fan, and I'm a big Liv Morgan fan, so I want to see that match.
So
just for that.
You're more excited about shoehorned in last minute booking than you are about something that has some better storytelling. Because, like, honestly, like the women's match did not need to be a triple threat. That's so bogus that that's even a triple threat match.
I don't agree with you.
That tag title match, like, come on. Like, you have got the first ever time that you have got mid-card women's Intercontinental and US titles, and you're going to downplay that by not only not featuring those two titles on the show, but then putting your Intercontinental champion into a makeshift tag team for the tag belts when you could have used those tag belts to be as a part of going against somebody you might want to establish as an actual team. I think that's bogus as well too. And then again, now the other title match on this card, the Intercontinental title, the IC title match. Like, it's just a cluster of people. It's like, who else didn't have a match? Let's write them down. IC title. Like, it just feels to me like there's a lot more disconnection of this card was designed for what we have left over kind of thing. That's coming from a perspective of somebody who's going to be reviewing night 2 of all the shows of this weekend. Night 1 to me looks like the more card geared towards what I think of a WrestleMania personally.
Whoa!
And I really am disappointed that the women's mid card titles are not being utilized at the show.
The Intercontinental title, this 4-way has been being built on every Raw. They've been building this 4-way for weeks. They have been building 4-way for weeks. That it has not been so. That's been building perfectly to culminate with this 4-way to be pure chaos, and I think that's what I'm excited about coming out of this match. Now the tag titles, I'm interested because I want to see it. Do I think it should be there? No, Chelsea Green should be in that spot defending her U.S. title, or Lyra should be there defending her Intercontinental title. I don't disagree with Bobby. I don't disagree with you on that because those titles should be on this show, but they're not. But what I'm just saying overall, I'm interested in all matches on night 2, where I'm only interested in 4 out of the 7 matches on night 1. That's why I look at night 2 as the better night for me personally, because it's also probably going to have the Randy Orton stuff, which I'm so excited. Which I love Randy Orton, so I'm just excited for that night.
So yeah, night 2 will most probably have the Randy Orton match. It's most probably looking more like it's going to be Solo Sikoa or Tama Tonga by the way that Friday Night SmackDown happened. It's probably going to be that. But I'm going to disagree. I'm going to disagree with Bobby just a little bit with the Intercontinental Championship. They have been teasing this ever since Penta started on WWE. Because they got Dominic Mysterio talking about wanting to bring an extra person in. Bron Breakker had that little thing where he was building himself up, going through things. Finn Balor has always put himself forward ahead of Dominic Mysterio. When Dominic was the one that was actually getting to the end of things, but then couldn't get over the line because either Finn Balor or someone stops it. So the fatal 4-way makes 100%. The triple threat match, to me, the women's is going to steal that. I think could potentially steal the whole of WrestleMania.
They're all incredibly talented. I'm not saying that.
No, absolutely. And I think, but what they've done is they've done this in a way that they've done this differently than most WrestleMania matches. Because if we think about it, most WrestleMania matches are the end of feuds, right? So you look at a match at WrestleMania and go, right, this is it. This is done. They're done with this. We're not going to see this ever again. Unless you're in the dementia era, then he'll forget that he booked it at WrestleMania and have it a week later. But with this feels like I'm not giving who I think the winner is, but there's 2 people in this match that are going to be having a very long rivalry after this, and that's why they're starting it now. They're building this now for it to then continue after Mania. That's my thinking of this as well. What the Liv Morgan deserves to be at Mania, right? I don't care how you shoehorn her in after saving the Women's World Championship after Rhea Ripley got injured, after saving the storylines of what going through that, having the best storyline in the women's division with Dominic Mysterio, with the Judgment Day, the way they all changed things and the way they changed it on Rhea. She deserves to be at WrestleMania no matter what. Yes, Jade Cargill versus Naomi, I think, is going to be phenomenal. That story has been phenomenal. The way Naomi has changed her character has been amazing. The way Cargill can be set loose in this match will be amazing. The match that they did not need whatsoever at all, never needed, don't care about it whatsoever, is the New Day versus the War Raiders. There's been I couldn't care about this. You put
AJ and Logan,
the
I feel
United
the same
States
damn way.
Championship, huh?
AJ and Logan, I feel the same damn way, and
Yeah,
that's
but
I
at
like
the same
AJ
time,
Styles a
it's AJ
whole lot,
Styles.
but I just don't give a shit about the match. I'm like, it
It's
doesn't
one of those.
feel like
It's
it's
Logan
necessary.
Paul. It's Logan Paul. It's AJ Styles. You look at it and you go, "What's the point?" But at the same time, in your head, you're going, "They're going to do." And Logan's going to do something stupid that he shouldn't be allowed to do. AJ Styles is going to counter it with something ridiculous that's going to make it. That's going to happen. So I'm fine with that happening because you know something ridiculous is going to happen. But with that as well. So before we move on, because we've been rambling on this for a little while, we've got a lot to get through. I'm going to give my massive prediction now. Not going to say who's going to win. I am going to say who's going to win a couple of the matches. But I'm saying this now. In the main event of night one is going to determine the main event of what happens in the main event. Yes, I agree. In the main event of night two. The Rock and John Cena are going to cost Roman Reigns and CM Punk. Seth Rollins is going to be the third man in the Lost, so as I call them, the Lost Souls group. He is the last member to be going in there. They're going to cost Roman Reigns and CM Punk. Seth Rollins is then going to come down and try and help John Cena with the help of Roman Reigns and with The Rock as well. When then Roman and CM Punk, we're going to have the massive clusterfuck like we had last year, but it was fun. Of what happened, and then John Cena is going to low blow without the referee seeing on Cody Rhodes, and John Cena will be, and that's how, because then John Cena can walk away and do movies, whatever he's doing, and then come in and out when he needs to, and you're going to have Seth Rollins around. That's how I feel like that's going to go, and I'm calling it now. Seth Rollins is either going to cost Cody Rhodes the championship, or he's going to get it wrong and cost John Cena the championship, which then carries it on moving forward. That's how I'm seeing it.
So you're rolling with the Call of Hugh theory?
Yes. No, I'm fully going for it. I'm fully sold on that. I heard it, I sold on it, and I went, fuck it, going with it. But yes, that's how I feel. But yeah, and that's my prediction.
I've heard it too, and if that's the way it goes, then I will dislike night two even more. Sorry, I do not need extras added and all this extra bullshit. Like it's too much. Like, can we get a WrestleMania main event that doesn't end in a total clusterfuck?
No.
Like, when was the last time?
No.
Please roll back the clocks and tell me when the last time was we had a proper WrestleMania main event. No, it was a clusterfuck. I'm not saying it was a good match. It was a clusterfuck. All the extra shit that doesn't need to happen.
Yes.
You don't need all that. You didn't need that. And all the classic WrestleMania main events, all the title matches that ever happened through history, the ones that are remembered are the ones where two warriors went out there and they put it on the line and showed what they had. They didn't bring their friends. They didn't bring all the extra bullshit. They brought the fight is what they did. Yeah, no, you're boring. No,
boring. I want to see full metal mayhem that you're never going to see anywhere else. I want to see. Oh, do you know what I want to see? I want to see The Rock do a Stone Cold Stunner. Stone Cold comes down, stuns him, fucks off. Then we get the Undertaker down. Then we get Bret Hart down. And as we get Bret Hart down, Goldberg spears him because it make me fucking laugh. And then Bret Hart gets a metal plate out, smacks Goldberg over the top of the head. Then get all the whole of Michelle McCool comes down and does a flip. And then we get Triple H coming out and Pedigree and Adam Pearce and Nick Aldis comes down and DDT someone. Just absolute full metal, mate. I will sit there and I will watch the post show because Bobby's meltdown will be the funniest thing because there is going to be a full throttle mayhem and it's going to be excellent. I'm going to love it.
You WWE marks fucking
should
make me shake my head.
I'd call me that all day.
You'd be the first to fucking sit there and down talk if AEW had 17 different run-ins in the main event. But I don't know. We'll see.
No. Not run-ins. They have 17 matches, not 17 run-ins.
Oh no, they still have 17 run-ins on top of it.
17 matches is too much.
Yeah,
I
but
can get
WrestleMania technically is pushing that limit now.
12. That's 14 if Randy Orton gets... Well, there's 13 at the moment. If Randy Orton matches gets added, it'll be 14. It's
Yeah,
7
and
on
then
each
all
night.
But it's not
And all the
14
other
on one
hoopla
night.
about-
So I give WWE the thumb up here because I love me some AEW, but their pay-per-views are way too long and way too overbooked. I looked at the last one; it was like over. It was past 10:30 our time. It was like 10:30 our time or past when it finished. Me and Peggy had it paused as we went and got food, so we were slightly longer than that. But it's too much. I agree. I like the WWE length of pay-per-views versus there, but again, it's all
Hold
moot point, right?
on. Wasn't Bobby's point that there's too many people on the card, but then if there's 17 matches, that's fine because there's not too
I
many
didn't
people
say
on the
that.
card
I'm
for
not.
that. Then Isn't
I'm
that
not
Bobby?
siding
Huh?
either way.
Yeah,
You can
it's
understand.
overbookedness.
I'm the guy that watches wrestling because I want to watch certain matches. I'll watch what I want to watch. I'm not sitting here and showing allegiance to WWE, AEW, or any of the other fucking companies out there today. I'm showing allegiance to pro wrestling and the way pro wrestling ought to be booked. And that's like a proper actual sporting event and not this over the top hoopla bullshit Saturday morning cartoons fuck show that you want it to be all the time. So
Absolutely. I want Full Metal Mayhem. I want Full Metal. What the fuck is happening? Mind fuck.
And that's the difference in wrestling fans. Mark likes the crazy. Bobby likes the simple. I like a little bit of everything. So we're all good. I just don't want to see blood. I just don't need blood. That's the thing. But
yeah, I'm with you, and I don't like the staple gun to the head or anything. That's bullshit. That's not wrestling.
Yeah, that's bullshit. Okay, can we go over one thing though, Bloodsport, quickly, because we're not going to have a real preview show. Just go through the match. I'll read them out quickly. So you have and it's specifically Natty Neidhart versus Miyu Yamashita. That sounds incredible to see Natty do something outside of WWE. I think that's going to be awesome.
She's also got an NWA match coming up too. So
she does. And then we got Pete Dunne versus Timothy Thatcher. The Brit on Brit violence in what's going to be an incredibly technical, awesome masterpiece. Mark's happy for that.
I got physically hard when I saw that.
Legit Layla Hirsch versus Jordan Blade. I'm not familiar with Jordan Blade, but Layla Hirsch is going to be impressive in her debut here. Then we've got NXT's Charlie Dempsey versus Pro Wrestling Noah and former MMA fighter Shinya Aoki, which is going to be incredible with Dempsey's
been great on these shows.
And Aoki's MMA style. Oh, dude, I cannot wait to see those two lock up. That's going to be sick. You have Stardom's Micah versus NXT's Carmen Petrovic, which I think would be pretty goddamn cool. Because Petrovic's last outing, that her flying spin kick that she did, like for the knockout, was amazing. I cannot wait to see how this finishes. And then JR Kratos versus Karrion Kross. That'll be interesting to say.
Kratos and Kross. Wow.
Yeah. I like Kratos. I'm a big fan of Kratos from his days on New Japan Strong. But Karrion Kross, I'm looking forward to seeing what the guy can do. To do something different. Like, I'm really looking forward to it. To see what he has in him. Then we have the technical grand masterpiece, Zack Sabre Jr. versus Jonathan Gresham, as we were speaking about before this show. This gets me hard. This one gets me hard.
Yeah. I saw Joshua Gresham versus Charlie Dempsey in TNA, and that was and the fans were like, what? And I was like, this is epic. Now, if you've got Zack Sabre Jr., who I know is brilliant at what he does, I am very excited for this one. I might even watch Bloodsport for this one.
Oh, you will. But yeah, Shayna Baszler. It's classic Stardom versus classic Stardom here. Shayna Baszler versus Konami, who both these ladies were in Stardom together, but never really did a lot together back then. And Konami's actually faced Shayna Baszler for this. I cannot wait for this. This is going to be epic because Konami is very much a strike-based wrestler. She trains in a lot of martial arts. So her versus Baszler in this match is going to be sick. And then you have Royce Isaacs versus NXT's Tavion Heights, the New Japan Strong Openweight Tag Team Champion, versus Tavion Heights, who should be winning that gauntlet next week and become the NXT Tag Team Champion next Saturday. But we'll see. I cannot wait for this. I love Royce Isaacs. My friend, Royce Isaacs. I can legit say it. I have had multiple conversations with the man on Facebook, and I met him. And then the final match is Gabe Kidd, New Japan's Gabe Kidd versus Josh Barnett in what will be a fucking slobber knocker. These two are going to beat the shit out of each other.
Barnett's fights usually do lead to a lot of violence. So.
Mm-hmm.
It's Bloodsport, right? So I know of Bloodsport, and I see them. Do they not? They're not like a weekly program. They're like they will bring in they will just make like fantasy type matches with indie competitors that they just want to do for like a show once a month, that type of thing.
They treat it almost like UFC, man. Like it's set up like a sporting card where it's like it only happens every once in a while. So this is Bloodsport, whatever number it is, kind of thing. And then they come up with the fights that they feel are going to steal the show and be good on there. And again, when you watch it, it's no ropes on the ring.
Yeah,
it is MMA type style looking, but it is with that pro wrestling sense to it as well too, kind of thing. So it's not just straight looking like an MMA fight all the time. The wrestling centric part of it comes into play and all that kind of stuff. But man, it looks good because these are all people that want to go out there and put on a show and are trained and skilled in something to do with combat sports in some way, shape, or form. And it always ends up being a great time. Like this is a solid card. I'm excited.
I might watch that.
Yeah, I can't wait.
Right, next sport. What's the next sport we're getting into?
Well, Manchester United just kicked off. That's all we need to know. They let a goal in after 45 seconds, but it was offside, so we're lucky about that. And from there, we will hope and pray that this doesn't end up being a total disaster. But we did tie against Lyon in the Europa League. That was heartbreaking. We were up 2-1 with minutes to go, not even, and they bring it back for a tie.
I equalized in a 95th minute.
A draw. Okay, I mean, at least we're not going down one game going into the next leg at Old Trafford. At least we have kind of a hope and a prayer. We need this. I'm not counting my chickens and saying this is definitely going to happen for United, but I still hold up hope that they will pull off the biggest miracle of this season, which is to actually win the big Europa League final, which not bloody likely. I mean, we got quarterfinal, like 2 still to get through, semifinals, and then the finals yet. And these teams aren't getting any easier at all. So
people at home don't know this, but during the match, the Lyon versus Man United match on Thursday night, me and Bobby were messaging each other during the match. And we were talking about the Man United performance and everything that was going on. So I was like, Man United looked like they were doing all right. So going into this episode, I decided that I wanted to get some stats up. And if you compare both of the teams, the only stat Manchester United were better at in that game against Lyon was corner kicks. They had 8 corners compared to Lyon's 5. Well, then if you look at everywhere else, and Lyon had 16 shots compared to Arsenal's Man United 13. Both of them had 5 on target. Lyon had 55% possession. Lyon had 521 passes compared to Man United's 428. The pass accuracy of Lyon was better. They had 90% pass accuracy compared to 88%. They had better fouls, Lyon, where they only drew 10 fouls compared to the 14 fouls Manchester United had, and Lyon had better yellow cards, where they had 1 yellow card during the game compared to the 4. But then at the game here today, you've got Onana, the goalkeeper, that decided to come out of a weird comment against Nemanja Matic during the week. And then he made 2 unforced errors, which basically cost Man United 2 goals away at Lyon in France.
And let's also mention that was after Matic replied with, "You're the worst goalkeeper in Manchester United history." Not just like the worst one currently there or anything. Like, no, flat out history. He's like, you don't hold a candle to Van der Sar or to Schmeichel or to De Gea or any of these types of guys, kind of thing. So it's got to be weighing on Onana's mind, which is why he's not out there today.
Absolutely. And I also want to give a special shout out to Arsenal. I was skeptical of Arsenal in Europe, very much of, because they've been having a weird ass time here in the Premier League where they draw games that they should win. Liverpool did lose to Fulham last week, but they won today. In the 93rd minute, they beat West Ham. But I want to give a shout out to Arsenal because I thought they had no hope against Real Madrid. And Rice Baby decided to step up and score 2 wonderful free kicks. And Mikel Moreno, who has scored more goals against Real Madrid than he has with anybody else, stepped up and slotted down. Going to the Bernabeu on, I think it's Wednesday. I think they're going, no, or Tuesday or Wednesday, I can't remember.
Yeah, it must be, yeah.
They're doing that. And they're going in there with an easy chance here to go through. And if I'm correct, I could be wrong here, but if Man United make it through, they will face the winners of Atletico Bilbao versus Rangers. I would love Rangers to go through. I would love United to go through because as a Rangers supporter, because I've got Scottish roots in my Scottish roots, they are Rangers fans. So I've been brought up to support the Glaswegians of Rangers. I would love it, and I will do the full Kevin Keegan. Bobby knows what I mean by this. I'll love it if I beat them on Bobby if that actually happens. But we got a tough week to go through from there. From that, but mental. The message, by the way, I'm not ever going to post the messages that Bobby was sending me. All right. He got so cocky when Man United scored and they went 2-1 up that then as Leon scored in the 95th minute, he went, oh, well, a draw's fine. It just absolutely cracked me up. But but United a 0-0 after 10 minutes at this precise moment. I've got it over here. I can see if Newcastle win, they will go up to 4th. Another positive here for the English Premier League. Because of Arsenal's result in the Champions League and Villa being there as well, I want to give a shout out to Villa as well. They really held up PSG in the Champions League. Unlucky to get the 3 goals, but they might come back at Villa Park this week as well. But because of that result, there is now 5 places that can go in the Champions League for English clubs. So there are 5 in there as well. For that, and Man United should have scored that. That I just saw. That was horrific. Xerxes, how have you missed that? Oh my God, you're 1-on-1, you fucking idiot. So yes, but before we get into things, I just want to do a quick thing here. This is about Reading, and I want to show you something. Okay, I'm going to do this very, very quickly if I can. Here we go. I've got it here. I've got the right screen up. Reading currently sits 6th in the table. As you can see down here, 69 points. Fucking amazing. 69 points after 42 games. Birmingham have been crowned champions of League One after, yes, you guessed it, spending £40 million on players. Wrexham, who are currently 2nd in there. Hello, Papa Smokes. Hope you're doing well, my friend. Wrexham are currently 2nd with a Hollywood money. Could potentially go up. Wickham, another money spending twats who are 45 minutes away from us, and I hate them. But Reading 3 points ahead of Leyton Orient and Bolton. 4 games left to go of the season. We had the potential buyer that we spoke about on the show has no longer coming in, but the guy that's doing the lawsuit has apparently agreed a £25 million sale of the football club and will be the new owner by the end of this month. I'm not happy about it. I'm happy that the guy's leaving, but the guy that could potentially come in has said a lot of questionable things about what he would do with a football club in the past. And very much of I worry for our academy, which has always been the stablemate of Reading Football Club for its history. I worry about the women's team as well. We've already fucked the women's team over as it is being one of the best women's divisions that was outside of the Premier League clubs, to now not even being in a regular league. It's a shambles. I need to see something that is going to help us, and we also need to sign everyone because we haven't signed a player. We've got 4 players that are going to be under contract for next season, so a lot needs to be done in a very quick amount of time. But that's my Reading roundup for you guys. For you, so yeah. What's the next sport, Bobby?
So the next one, good question. I think we'll end talking about the UFC stuff that we wanted to discuss today. So, what do we got next, boys? Is it any updates from F1?
NBA, we've got NHL.
This race is fucking phenomenal. Dude, I've been watching on and off, dude. It's a good race because the positioning is really good so far in this race. Like Ocon's sitting up in 6th for Haas. I'm like, that's great. I'm loving seeing him sitting there. But yeah, Verstappen's just shitting the bed today. He's only in 9th. Yeah, it's a fucking great race. Like Hamilton's doing okay-ish. The second best driver at Ferrari,
Greatest of all time. I don't care. Greatest of all
time.
I agree. But this year, he's the second best driver at Ferrari.
Oh yeah, he's always gonna. NBA. We're coming to the NBA finals. Let's do NBA, and then we'll do the Masters, and then we got a quick NHL chat, and then we got UFC. NBA quickly. Lakers have sealed themselves to be the top of the division. The only reason I'm talking about this is because of the Lakers. Luka Doncic went back to the Mavericks recently, which was absolutely hilarious. After the club, the team, franchise, however you want to call it, decided to trade him in the most spectacular trade in the NBA history. He decided that he wanted to get revenge, and by God did he. Because he went out there, played 38 minutes, got 45 points in the game. So going into another conference, another playoff, as Shannon Sharp says, Lakers in 5 is this biggest meme on the internet right now. But you've got I don't understand. So at this precise moment in the Western Conference, the Thunder, the Rockets, and the Lakers have clinched their division. The Grizzlies, the Kings, and the Mavericks have clinched their conference. And in the Eastern Conference, we've got the Cavaliers, the Boston Celtics, the Knicks, Pacers, Bucks, Pistons, Magic, Hawks, Bulls, Heat, all getting in their places, getting ready to go for going in for that. If this was Mark Cuban, he would never have traded in the new. Yes, very dumb. Dumb people. Dumb people do dumb shit. And the dumbest shit you can do is get rid of your franchise player for Anthony Davis. Dumb. Masters. I'm going to quickly go on to the Masters. Final day of the golf today. Final day of the Masters. I've been watching it since Thursday. I love the golf. I love the Masters. Rory McIlroy looking to win his first ever Masters. I like Rory. He's Northern Irish. He's not down below, which is even better. And he's looking to win the first ever, the only mass major he hasn't won. But he's got Bryson DeChambeau that is 2 shots away from him. And you've got Connor Combs, who's 4 shots behind McIlroy. And Abe Gerd. I can never ever pronounce this man's name. But he's 26 years of age, Swedish, and he's very close behind. So the Masters coming down to the final day, hoping, praying to God that either Justin Rose, who is close behind as well, he's on -5 compared to the -12. Maybe Justin Rose could win at the Englishman, or we could be seeing Rory McIlroy finally pick up the trophy and the green jacket that he has never won but deserves to win it. So let's hope he wins it. But we've got NHL and UFC to go, and I'll leave you two to discuss which one that is. Sorry about the golf chat. I just love golf.
No, that was great. We call that the new speed round here on Point of View. we get through a few things a little bit faster, but NHL, I mean, we are right around the corner from playoffs times. We had a wonderful conversation last week with, again, thank you everybody. That clip of us explaining overtime points to Mark hit over 1,000 views on YouTube. It was quite a popular clip. So thank you very much. It was a lot of fun. Mark, how can we confuse you with Canada's greatest export today?
Okay, so here's the thing, right? Playoff in other countries is very simple, right? So let's give it for example. Playoff in the UK. Okay, I'll even give you an example of what I mean by playoff in the UK. Okay, I'll even get this out for you. So this is how, not reading table. I'm actually getting tables of reading tables. I don't want reading tables. I can't read. Here we go. So here we are. Right. So here's the standing of the League One. If it's going to pop up, is it going to pop up for me?
Eventually.
Come on. There we go. So here is the table, right? What you'll see here. Okay. So normal teams. Okay. This is how this works throughout all of the divisions. Top two, Birmingham and Wrexham, will automatically get promoted to the next division. Okay. One will be classed as champions. The other one will just be classed as promoted. Then you'll get third down to sixth. They are your playoff teams. Third will play sixth. Fifth will play fourth. There will be 2 legs. The winner of those 2 legs will face the winner of the other game, in the final at Wembley. The winner at Wembley will get promoted with Birmingham and Wrexham. Right? Simple.
Okay.
Very, 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 very simple. Now, the conversation we had last week, where you decided that you wanted to throw different conferences in with the different places and different things, but the top team can't play the second team because of the bracket bollocks doesn't make sense. So please help me.
Okay. All right. Just hold on. I'm going to do something.
Right. I'm currently on the NHL.
Andre's
website.
got tables too, and they're not reading tables. So, you know.
And I can't read. So, but Rondre, you have to read it.
This pop-up picture books.
Yeah.
I got to pull up.
Oh, mate, they are the best. They are the best. I understand more from that.
That's what we got to create is the Englishman's Guide to Hockey Points or something like that. It'll be a pop-up picture book.
It doesn't have to be
All
Englishmen.
right, so
Dumbasses.
Do you see? Do you see the thing that is on your screen now?
Yes.
All right. So, in the Eastern Conference, each division, the top 3 teams go through. Do you see how that breaks down right there?
Yeah.
Same with the Western Conference. Per conference, because you have 2 divisions per conference. And then, so the top 3 teams of each division go through. And then the top 2 rest of the finishing teams battle for the wild card to get into the playoffs. The worst of the wild card will play whoever has the best finish, which would be Washington with 109 points right now. And Ottawa would be playing Toronto. So it would be 1 versus wild card and 2 versus 3 move on to face each other, and the winners of those series move on to face the team from either the Atlantic Metropolitan, and the winners of that go to the Stanley Cup Finals.
Okay,
it's very simple. It's very simple.
So the Blue Jackets, the Columbus Blue Jackets, they in the wild card because there's nothing against their name.
They are still in the race because they still have 3 games left, which is a potential 6 points. If Montreal wasn't to get a point for the rest of this season, the Blue Jackets won out their last 3 games because Montreal only has 2 left. If Montreal loses their last 2 games and the Blue Jackets win all 3, they would take over the position. Because if you have more points.
Is the Blue Jackets the last spot in the wild cards where they are positioned?
Montreal right now is the final spot. It's only the top 2 teams in the wild card move into the playoffs.
So at this moment, the Canadians are going to be playing Washington because they're the highest points, and then you've got the Maple Leafs that are going to be facing the Ottawa Senators, and then you'll have the Devils versus the Lightning, and then the Hurricanes versus Panthers.
No. You play because you play with it. You still play within your division. Like Tampa will face Florida, and the Hurricanes will face the Devils, and then the winners of those play still within their division, and then you face the conference finals and then the Stanley Cup finals. I didn't build a proper.
No,
I was meant to build a proper thing this week, but I haven't had a chance to. But
we can do that next week.
Yeah, the East and West never collide until the finale.
But like I'm saying, like in the Metro division, just the Metro alone, you will have Washington, say, play Montreal. And then say Washington wins. And then you have Carolina playing the Devils. Say Carolina wins. The second round would be Carolina versus Washington. Right? We're still within their division. And then the winners of that series go on to play Again, it's just a bracketing. It's a bracketing down, same as everything else.
Bobby, don't
It's
look
just a
at the
bracketing
scoreline.
down.
I know.
Yeah.
Okay. I just heard it come out of my ear.
Mm.
So okay, right. So if you right, okay. So the Leafs and the Capitals will have an easier round to the finals because they did better throughout the season. If you've done shitter throughout the season, it's going to be a lot harder for you to get to the Stanley Cup, right?
Yeah. But hold on, we're talking about the Leafs. Apparently, they forgot how well they played during the season once they get to that first round of the playoffs.
So are they like? So are the Leafs like the Dallas Cowboys?
No, the Dallas Cowboys are like the Leafs. Let's just say that.
Right. So the Leafs have been doing this longer when they get into the playoffs of fucking up than the Dallas Cowboys.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
The last Stanley Cup win for the Leafs was 1967.
But why are the Leafs more well known than anyone?
Because they're one of the oldest franchises in hockey. They're one of the original six.
Yeah.
They've been around forever. Yeah.
So that's why they're well known, not because they're good.
Pretty much, yeah.
No. I think it's Toronto, Montreal, Detroit, New York.
Okay, so it's got the elements of the NBA, right? No, not NBA, the NFL.
Same thing.
So the same type of thing. You play your own conference, your Eastern Conference. You play that up until the end, and then you face the Western Conference for the winner of the Stanley Cup, right? That makes sense.
Essentially. Yep. 100%.
But what doesn't make sense is why you don't have like a proper bracket where the top two can never face each other until the end. Why are they
But again, at least with the NFL, you got to remember, NFL is far more confusing because you have your top four from the conferences.
Yeah, that's stupid.
Then you have three wild cards. Your number one doesn't even play in the wild card round, and then
the number one overall,
and it reseeds every single time, right?
Right.
But which hockey does do, but again, it's always best versus worst in each round. But again, within hockey, it's that's only in the first round because the second round is literally just two. You only have one choice in your division. I'll have to build a bracket at some point for
Please
you.
do.
But I just forgot to this week. I mean, I know I said that last week, but I completely forgot.
No, I want to learn this. I'm gonna get this.
Next week the playoffs will be here.
Yeah, that's fine. We can learn how they do it through the playoffs when they do it. That's absolutely fine.
In fact, you know what we'll do. You know what we'll do before you say that, just quickly. The episode on the 27th we'll dedicate to a lot of NHL playoff talk.
Yes. Yeah.
We'll be into the playoffs by that point. The first round will have started because the first round won't start till mid next week, I think. So we'll be into the playoffs on the 27th. So we'll have a conversation. See how bad my Canadians are doing. Because
I just remembered that next week we're doing WrestleMania Night 2 predictions. Yeah, I've just remembered. Yeah, that's fine. We could do it then. So my other question is as well, and this is a final question on this part before we move on to the UFC. And we got rid of Andre. Oh, there he's back.
Somehow.
We got rid of Andre. Do you still do so? If you're tied in the playoff, do you still do overtime in the playoff, or to whoever wins it, or do you go? Does someone have to win each leg of the playoff?
Someone has to win each game. There's no ties, no shootouts.
I've just looked here. There's no ties whatsoever.
And then there's no ties in hockey. We don't do that pussy shit, you know. We just get consolation points.
It's even worse. It's even worse.
I know. I meant, yeah, but
right there.
It's continuous. It's continuous sudden death overtime.
Right.
Like we'll go into overtime, play 20 minutes. If it doesn't end, then you take another intermission, and then you play another 20 minutes. And there's been games in history that have gone 4 and 5.
Wait.
Oh yeah.
So how long? So you have 4 halves of hockey, right?
Three.
So three. How long was each half in hockey?
20 minutes each.
20-minute periods.
And you still do 20 minutes in overtime?
In the playoffs. In regular season, it's a 5-minute overtime. If nobody wins, because it's also a 3-on-3, it's a 3-on-3 5-minute overtime to really try to benefit scoring, like to try to create a winner. That's why, because it's more open ice when you're playing 3-on-3. So they try to create a situation that ends at overtime. But if it doesn't, it goes to the shootout, and that obviously top 3 or more finishes it. But then in the playoffs, it's 20 minutes overtime. If it doesn't finish there, you go to another 20 minutes, and then to another 20 minutes. There's been games that have gone 4 and 5 overtime periods. So it's like totals of 8 periods in a game.
So when do people realize that instead of, because in football, you have a 45-minute, you have 45-minute. If you then go into extra time, you do 15-minute, you do 15-minute. Once those two halves of 15 minutes ends in extra time, you go to a penalty shootout. Why don't you do that? Instead of going 20-minute, 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 20-minute.
Because then how in Canada could they stop us from watching the things we want to watch by having like 19 overtime periods in a NHL bracket? Here's the thing. It's like, I live in Canada and I totally get it. But like there'd be times when I wanted to turn on pro wrestling and I go to tune in and it's like, oh, look, the NHL playoffs are in like third overtime already kind of thing. And you sit there just angrily watching your screen. It's like, I don't like either of you teams right now, you bastard. Somebody scored a goal already.
So, Bobby, do you watch NHL? Are you an NHL?
Not really, not to the point where, like I've watched a fair amount of it. Like if a game's on, I watch it. I understand the rules of it. I've got a lot of friends that are into it and have played it and stuff like that too. So it's not where I don't really have a team, so to speak, or anything like that. If anything, I would just go Calgary because it's where I am born.
Join my bandwagon, Bobby. Join the Canadian bandwagon. I got Mark. I just need to get. I got Mark. Now I
was born in Calgary. It would be a cold day in hell before I cheer for the Montreal team.
Well, they're close. They're third in the wild card, just outside the wild card. They can get in it.
Yeah, like Calgary is the only they have a shot. They're within, they're
win both of their games.
Points. They're within 4 points. They have 3 games left, a total of 6. So if St. Louis can stick at 94 and Montreal can win they have to win all 3 games to do it, which I don't see happening, but they could.
Can I just say, right? I'm looking at the points, and I'm looking at this is what baffles me, right? So the St. Louis Blues played 81, won 43, lost 30, but they have 8 overtime, right? So they're on 94 points. Yep. Yeah. And then you've got Calgary Flames, who have played 79, won 38, lost 27, which is 3 less, 14 in overtime, and they're on 90.
Yeah, because they lost 14 times in OT, so they got 14
Can you just not
points.
do 3 points for a win? For the love of God, hockey, make it easier.
It's not how real sports work, man.
It's
how real sports work.
It's how normal people function.
All right. Well, stay tuned for more NHL talk coming up in a couple of weeks here on Point of View. From there, we're going to segue over to our main topic. Mark, I'm going to go over to you. Baddy Paddy is the name of the episode because somebody had a night at UFC this weekend.
They did. Paddy the Baddy Pimblett, who I can't stand, even though he's English, but he's part of that England that fucking hate. Beating Michael Chandler it was a TKO in round 3 of that, and seeing the highlights, I don't stay up to watch UFC because I know that orange fat twat's going to turn up and I can't be asked looking at his face. So that's there. But we saw Alexander Volkovich, Alexander, he's an Aussie if I'm right, because Rhea Ripley and Buddy Murphy were pictured watching the UFC fight. And him coming away with the title as well. I'm just looking. I know no one in any of this. I'm not a UFC fanatic. I'm not someone that knows stuff. All I hear that there's a lot of issues in the UFC with too many events, not enough stars. But it's also good to see a Brit going after in the lightweight championship. He was in the co-main event. He's had 23 fights, and I think that's 3 losses in his career. Out of the fight, he had over 100 more title strikes, significant more signature strikes. Paddy had over Michael Chandler, but had less takedowns than what Chandler attempted. And Chandler's been sniffing around WWE with the takeover. Popped up in a few events as well because of the partnership with TKO. We're also going to be getting that new TKO boxing that has been signed with the Prince of Saudi Arabia, who does all the booking for the Saudi shows out there. Bobby, I know you're quite of a UFC fighter fan. I want to get your take, not of this match, but I want to get this conversation out there and talk about it. No politics are going to be discussed in this show. The state of UFC. What is the issue? You had the Conor McGregor. You had him. He's there. He was the star. Why a UFC is not getting that much publicity anymore? They're mainstream, but they're not. You haven't got the star, the showman. You got John Jones, but he cries and doesn't want to fight Tom Aspinall, fucking legend, by the way. I want him to beat John Jones. But him as well. What is the issue with UFC right now?
You know,
I can answer that.
Go first.
Bobby, go ahead. I'll let Bobby go. Then I'll give my opinion.
Okay.
On it.
I think a lot of it boils down to, again, like you say, a showman. It's very much like boxing. It doesn't matter if you've got a guy who is going out there and taking a bunch of wins. If you don't have somebody who's got that extra oomph, that extra it factor. And again, like when you mentioned Conor McGregor, he kind of stands out like a sore thumb. You had it in the past with a lot of the former UFC guys. St. Pierre was a big attraction for them for the longest time, kind of thing. Silva was a big attraction for them for the longest time. You go back to the days of when they started and you had your Hoist Gracies, your Ken Shamrocks, people like that stood out amongst the crowd when it came to what they were doing. It's just an it factor thing. I think, again, UFC is always full of great athletes and great fighters and people that are very capable. And it's not like these matches or fights are boring by any means. It's not lacking in terms of what it's capable of. I think it comes down to you don't have a showpiece. And when you don't have a showpiece, people don't tune in as strongly to the product. And I think that's maybe the only missing factor in this thing is that they don't have that central piece, that one champion that stands out where people like, I got to watch that entire card because of that guy or that woman kind of thing, And again, I say that too, because like when Ronda Rousey was around, it again was a very big star attraction for women's fighting at the time. So I think it's just a matter of time before, again, somebody else comes around that will be that next standout. It's just finding them. The same with boxing, same with any combat sport. The lifespan of being at the top of a combat sport is a narrow window. You have to keep expanding your game in order to be able to keep up with the times. And that is a very difficult thing to do because once the top people get figured out and they get to that point where they can't respond to it anymore, they become a shell of their former selves. And it becomes almost sad to watch. Thank you for posting that. Happy to see that again. That's fantastic. But I think that's what they're missing, in my personal opinion. And of course, look who had to score too. Hey,
yeah,
I've only been slagging him off for weeks, and then he goes and saves our bacon. Yeah.
Okay. So Bobby, everything he said is completely correct. We haven't had a star, the person to be really. They've tried to put people up, Colby Covington and others, to be that next one, but they just never caught fire. They've tried multiple times over the last few years, but they haven't had that person really able to hit that zeitgeist, be that big personality. Paddy Pimblett is probably the closest that you've had to somebody that's probably, but even then, he's popular to UFC fans, not to. He doesn't attract a wider audience like Conor did, like Brock did, like all of them did. Ronda, all of them did for years. The other half of it is that the UFC doesn't need a personality anymore. And this is purely because of money. And they're going into their negotiating window. They got another year and change on their deal with ESPN right now. They signed a deal years ago where they don't have to worry about pay-per-view sales anymore because they get a set amount of money per show that appears on ESPN Plus. it's the same amount of money no matter what. Whether they sell 10 pay-per-views or they sell 10 million pay-per-views, which is not possible. That's a big factor in that UFC no longer has to rely on. They don't have to say we need the biggest personality to sell anymore because of the way their money is situated, and the fact that their ticket sales, their actual ticket sales, have hit such an insane number. They are doing the biggest gates they've ever done in their entire existence, with having some of them being smaller venues than before, because of how much they spend, and people are going to it. I don't understand it because, again, for me, the guy looked at this pay-per-view. I'm like, I'm not paying for that pay-per-view. I like Volkanovski, but I don't like most of the people on here enough to pay for the pay-per-view. It's weirdly about the money too, because they don't need it right now. Now they're going to try to deal, but the thing is, they have bigger interests than ever, and it looks like they're going to be spreading their rights over multiple different companies now, between ESPN, it's possible with others to put fight nights on another place, and it's going to be even less reliance when you have even more money coming in on needing a star. It's to the money too. That's the weirdest point.
And just wait it out with the connection with TKO and what's going on. Once they can make that happen, I wouldn't be shocked if a Netflix deal could be around the corner.
There was talk of that.
Well, the room, again, I listen to a lot of different Sports Center podcasts too. Post Wrestling is one of my favorites, where they cover wrestling and they cover MMA also. And there's John Pollock was talking with Jack Winon on their 314 preview, and they were saying that the possibility you could see ESPN retaining the rights to the main pay-per-views, but under the deal they have, but then Fight Nights could go to another place, but then they could sign a deal with the UFC to produce 4 to 5 exclusive Netflix pay-per-views per year is what could be developed here. For even more money on top of all the other pay-per-views they put out for ESPN Plus. And it's the way, it's the NBA. They have all their shit spread around in a certain way. Yeah. It's going to be in that same vein as it. Some places get a certain thing for a certain amount of money. ESPN will get a certain amount of pay-per-views for a certain amount of money. Netflix will get a certain amount of pay-per-views for a certain amount of money, and so on and so forth. I do not see them going exclusive to one place like they are now. I feel like they're going to be spread around a la the NBA. They're going to have rights spread around in multiple places, which is going to screw up a lot of things for a lot of people in America. In Canada, It'll be fine. Our shit's just on pay-per-view. It's simple, and it'll be Netflix too. But ours is simple.
Yeah, but
is the NBA's next season not going to Amazon?
Amazon. It's going to be on Amazon. It's going to be on television. It's going to be on multiple different platforms.
Mm-hmm.
They have a TV deal set in. They have a streaming rights deal set in. They have multiple platforms. Plus, TNT, Warner Brothers still has stuff. They're licensing out NBA on TNT to wherever the place they're going now. So, they're in multiple different places right now.
The issue is, right, and I'm going to be, and I do apologize to any Americans in the chat that are going to happen, but I do find it hilarious that their shows who have been catered to them and us people who watch it abroad have had to suffer for so long, right? We've had to get up. We have to get up one in the morning. Not get up, stay up till 1 o'clock in the morning to watch shows. Now, and I loved it when it come to Europe. And do you know what the best thing was? I sat with my daughter and we watched wrestling together, watched the whole thing together. She sat there, she did some colouring in, wasn't fully paying attention during all of it, which was understandable. But she was cheering for John Cena when he was being horrible. I was like, yes, that's my daughter. When there was horrible things, I was like, yes, I trained you well. And then they were like, oh, I don't like it because of the times. And I'm like, thank you. I can now do this. And when the PLE and all of that. But I think someone was right with Netflix. I think Netflix, there was talk that they want some of the fights that I did see coming in. But I think it would be like special events that they would probably want. I
think it's going to be like a 4 to 5 special Netflix shows per year that Netflix is going to pay for. And the majority of the UFC events, the rest of the UFC pay-per-views will go to probably, I feel like ESPN is going to get that deal, and then you're going to see UFC Fight Nights go some. I feel like they're going to sell UFC Fight Nights to somebody else, and so on and so forth, and then they'll have something else pop up because there always happens. Because again, then you still have like what was the one they did at that dome and the thing in Vegas? That was like they got like 20 some million dollars was just given to them by was it the Saudi government
Vegas.
to have to no it was from the they got 20 million
was it
from the
Saudis
Saudis
to promote them
to sponsor it as something for it, but the show was in Vegas, so like it's that kind of stuff that they again, these are the reasons they don't need a star anymore, because they have it's the same way UFC or WWE, they get everything is at a certain level of money, and you're getting all this money to come into territories that are paying them now. So it's they're even less, at least companies are less reliant on their top person from a financial perspective. To a fan, yes, we still want to see that big person, but the company itself's bottom line is so held up right now that doesn't matter who their top person anymore. Yeah, it can interchangeable to them.
Yeah. Can I just quickly change the subject for 2 seconds before we end the show?
Yeah, go for it.
So, talking to my daughter. So, around about 4 weeks ago, I was like, we're going to do something that we haven't done before. And on the weekends, I'm going to show you, every weekend, Saturday and Sunday, I'm going to show you a film series, right? So, for the past 4 weeks, I'm going to say 4 weeks, I've shown her every single Harry Potter film. We're getting the final one tonight. She doesn't like the Goblet of Fire. That was her worst one. She didn't enjoy that when she got. Yeah, that was my favorite one. She didn't.
That's one of my favorites.
Yeah, that's my favorite one. During that one, but she's loved everyone else. But I want to talk about what happened last night. If you haven't seen it, you're about 10 years, 20 years, a bit late for this. Spoiler warning. Then, I know what happens at the end of part 1 of Deathly Hallows, right? Everyone knows. Everyone knows what happens. Everyone knows exactly that Dobby's going to end it, right? He's going to die. I sat there and went, right, I knew exactly when it was happening. And I was like, right, I'm going to prepare myself. I know exactly it's going to happen. I'm going to be fine. I'm going to do this. I can get through this. She threw the sword. She threw the knife. And I went, right, I've got this. I've got this. I've got this. I've got this. You've got this, Mark. Come on. And then I was absolutely fine. And then he went, Harry Potter. And I went, no, not Dobby. Not Dobby. I'm bawling my eyes out. My daughter sat there. She's got tears coming down her face. I went, I might have scarred this woman for life. And then she went, oh, we'll watch the second part tomorrow, like tonight. And I went, yes, we will. Completely forgot to warn her that Dobby was going to die as well. Completely forgot to warn her. And then he died. And then I thought I fully lost it. I could not sleep for about 2 hours after that because how upset I was about Dobby dying. Oh, by the way, I'm going to say this next Saturday, the next group of films that we're watching is Star Wars. I'm making us go watch through all of the Star Wars now.
Okay. What's your watch order?
4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3.
Oh, I thought you're not going to go 1, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 6.
No.
Okay, not the flashback order. Okay.
Yeah, that is 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, and then we are going to be watching the Disney ones as well.
Hey,
so,
dude, so as a person, I was born in 87, so I was born after the original trilogy. My favorite Star Wars, and somebody will yell at me for this, my favorite movie is Episode 1. But again, it's my favorite because it's the first movie I ever saw in a theater. I was there with my father and a couple friends. It's the grandiose nature of it all, the music, everything. That movie will always have a special place in my heart as the greatest movie in there. But the Disney movies do have pluses. When you look at a movie like Rogue One, that movie was amazing. Yes.
Again, I'll defend the more recent ones to a degree of like 7 and 8 more particular. I know people will argue with me on it. Individually, the movies were fine. As a whole, collectively, as a storytelling trilogy, they were so disconnected that it became very hard to watch. Yeah, and I think that's where they go.
But then the good thing about my daughter is we have to pause Harry Potter a lot for me to give her she just enjoys like the colors, or she enjoys some of the things that get said and all of that. She'll soak in some of the story of it, but she just enjoys it. And I'm like, no, I'm going to get her in it now. So then Star Wars is the next one. I can't think of the one after that, but Star Wars is the next one. I might do
Planet of the Apes. Planet of the Apes.
Planet of the Apes I watched recently. I might get her into those ones as well. I watched that personally myself. But then I have to admit to something that I'm very afraid to admit, but I'm going to admit it now because we're ending the show and Bobby can close very quickly after I say this. I am going to find a point this week to watch for the first time Lord of the Rings. Never watched it. I've never watched it.
Okay, well, now that I was gonna go all in on giving Mark shit for not having seen them, but the fact that you're shit talking him down there, Andre, I think that you just put yourself in the
I've just seen he's changed his name. I've just clocked it. He's changed his name. That's brilliant. I love that.
Fair enough. But yeah, we are going to wrap it up, guys. We've run a little bit
There's
long.
only one return. Sorry, there's only one return. It is not of the king, it's of the Jedi.
Nah, whatever. Keep saying your lines from a Kevin Smith film like you wrote it yourself.
I don't care I don't care for rings. I'm also not a big sword and sorcery fantasy kind of guy. I fell asleep every time I try to watch one of those movies. I fall asleep, and I just don't care for them. It's not my thing. I don't like Game of Thrones.
Taking all of it.
I'm not a fan of that style of. I don't know. I just don't care for it.
You don't like watching brothers and sisters going at it. What is wrong with you?
No. All right, so my ticker's up on the screen because I'll start this by talking about what we got coming up for the whole week for you guys. It's going to be a very busy week. As we said, it's WrestleMania week. So there's my ticker down below. What we got coming up throughout this entire week. As always, this coming Tuesday, join Ed and Astrid for Taking Over, where they're not only going to be everything that happened on this week's NXT episode, but they're also going to be breaking down for you the card from Stand and Deliver. Wednesday, you can join Andre and Ed, and of course their host Peggy for Marvel Talk, because apparently Peggy has taken over the show. Andre and Ed were along for the ride. They will be doing the
do we not have the logo ready?
Finale. No, it's being worked out. It's being worked out. But yes,
the one we had. Damn.
Yeah.
I forgot.
Thursday night, we've got myself, Bob Spokes, on Ring Respect Radio, followed by Auntie Collins and Kyle Sparks on the Honor Ramble. Then we have got the big WrestleMania weekend. Saturday is jam-packed. Right after Stand and Deliver, join Ed, Astrid, Jose, and maybe someone else. I'm not sure. Astrid's always booking, so there could be a surprise guest yet to come. That'll be Saturday following Stand and Deliver. Then right after they are wrapped up, before the pre-show of WrestleMania Night 1, Mark's going to be hosting the Night 1 predictions. Sam is definitely confirmed for the show, and we're hoping to maybe get one or two other people to be joining them. Then later that night, it is the Stand and Deliver the WrestleMania Night 1 post show hosted by Ed Fries, and Megan is going to be joining him on that particular card. Andre's just tapped out. He's had enough. I haven't heard my name enough times, so I'm out of here. But yes, you could join Ed on that one there with Megan for sure, and hopefully some more guests. You could then join next Sunday right here on Point of View, as we're bringing in the man from Spoiler Warning himself, Tom Collahue, to join us on the show. And we're going to be breaking down our predictions for WrestleMania Night 2. And then, of course, that night, WrestleMania Night 2 post-show, I'm going to be hosting, and I'm going to be joined by Ella J and hopefully some others to do the post-show review that night for you. And then, of course, stick around that Monday. If you're tired of all the wrestling stuff, we have got the finale of the Mother Tuckin' post-show on Monday night here on the channel. So lots to come, lots to do. Stay tuned. Check it all out. As always, OLE Podcast has been on your screen this whole time. Make sure you follow it along to know what time all of those are going live. And now that I've run my mouth for way too long, I'm going to turn it over to Mark to tell you what he's got coming up.
What have I? I'm going to be here for the WrestleMania predictions. I'm not going to do the post show. because Bobby wouldn't let me. No, because you got to get other people in, and the way that my setup is now built in, it's going to be a absolute arse to change it around every time. So I'm going to do predictions because then I can go to bed when it finishes, which is lovely. And then also Mark Talks Football, we've got the South Shields special coming up for you this week, where it's the final day of the season today. Can we get Champions League football in the first season in the Premier League? And on Mark Talks Wrestling, we are building to Battleground, where we got I don't even know where we are anymore. On 2K25, there is a lot that goes on. You have no understanding. Where are we? SmackDown was last night, so Underground is tonight. So make sure you go and check that out, where we're building to it. Andre will want to go and watch yesterday's episode because Lola Vice made her debut on WWE 2K25. So for a number one contenders for the Women's Championship as well. Next week, Lauren Goodnight is not here for NXT. So me and Bobby have taken over booking of NXT. And me and Dominic Mysterio have already had a little conversation about next week. So make sure you go and check that out. But Andre, you beautiful bald-headed bastard, what have you got coming up?
Not a lot. You'll see me Wednesday where... Well, honestly, not a lot. Wednesday, you're going to see me and Ed join Peggy on her show Marvel Talk as we do the finale of Daredevil Born Again. And then I'll be back next Sunday for the preview show for WrestleMania with the boys here, and obviously Tom Talkahue, and maybe Ed will show up. We don't know. He doesn't care. He doesn't love you guys enough to show up here anymore. So, but yeah, he's with us many today, so we understand. That's pretty much it for me for this week. I'm not really doing much other shows. Depending on what comes out, I might want to talk about some stuff next Sunday. After watching, we might have to talk Bloodsport for at least a few minutes, and I might have to love on some Stardom that I'm planning to watch on Thursday and Friday from Vegas. So we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see if we can. We'll try to fit as much in as we can.
Yeah.
Again, it's going to be a great show, and Tom Colahue, a great guest to have on here as well with us. So make sure you go check out Tom Colahue, and spoiler warning over on YouTube. Support him as much leading up to this weekend when he joins us, and everything, of course, found over to OLE Podcast. As always, if you're watching on replay, leave us a comment, give us a thumbs up, turn on the notification bell, and it'll let you know anytime we got new content coming right here on OLE Podcast from our great contributors from around the world. That's it for us this week on Point of View. Thanks for tuning in to your favorite Sunday sports show, and we will see you next week.